The Bonanno Family. Blood, betrayal, and the rise of America's silent empire in the bustling heart of Brooklyn. Amid the immigrants, the factories, the promise of the American dream, something darker was growing. It wasn't the Irish gangs, it wasn't the Italians who stayed in Sicily. It was something silent, something powerful. It was the Bonanno family. Before the skyscrapers, before the glitz of Manhattan, there was Sicily, the small seaside town of Castellammarese del Golfo. A young man named Joseph Bonanno arrived in New York with more than hope in his suitcase. He carried the traditions of the old world: loyalty, honor, and vengeance. The Bonanno family's story begins in the early 1900s. Immigrants from Sicily, bitter feuds over territory, bodies thrown into Long Island Sound. From the docks of Brooklyn to the bars of East Harlem, the seeds of power were planted. When Prohibition turned bootlegging into a gold mine, the young Bonanno clan didn't hesitate. Moonshine, speakeasies, lawmen paid off. They rose fast because they were silent and deadly. By 1930, the Mafia in New York was fractured. Two camps: the Mustache Pete's old-school Sicilians and the young Americans who saw business, not tradition. This conflict exploded into what became known as the Castellammarese War. In 1931, when the war ended, one man emerged: Joseph Bonanno. He inherited what was once the Maranzano crew and renamed it the Bonanno family. Now part of the powerful board of mob families known as the Commission. With the war over, the Mafia in America was no longer street gangs, it was corporate crime, and the Bonannos were right at the heart. From the 1930s through the 1950s, the Bonanno family built an empire in silence. Loan sharking, gambling, extortion, recognizable gangster work, but also something else: infiltration of unions, legitimate businesses, and politics. In the 1950s, the family's reach went beyond New York. California, Canada, Cuba, money laundering, Caribbean casinos. These were not mobsters in loud suits, they were invisible. At the top of it all, Joseph Bonanno, a living legend. For more than 30 years, he held power like no other mob boss in America. But even empires built on shadows must face light. In 1964, the Bonanno world shattered. Joseph Bonanno tried to assassinate rivals on the Commission. The plot failed. He disappeared. Some say abducted, some say hiding. What followed was the Bonanno War, a brutal internal conflict within the family. Brooklyn versus Queens, Sicilians versus Americans. Blood runs fastest when it comes from kin. When Joe resurfaced, he retired, but the damage was done. The Bonannos were weakened, exposed, vulnerable. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the FBI infiltrated the Bonanno family in one of the great undercover operations of all time. Agent Joseph P. Stone, masquerading as Donnie Brasco, gained the trust of key members. The ramifications were devastating. By the 1990s, with RICO laws biting deep, the family's leadership crumbled. One man tried to rebuild: Joseph Massino, the last Don. He tightened operations, enforced silence. But even Massino couldn't outrun betrayal. He became the first American mafia boss to turn government witness. A moment that shook the underworld. Today, the Bonanno family is a shell of its former self. Gone are the headlines of open wars. The landscape changed. Other crime groups, technology, globalized markets. Yet the family survives. Small crews, gambling operations, loan sharking, the old guard in gray suits. Their name remains on the list of the 5 families, but the throne they once held is gone. What can we learn from the rise and fall of the Bonannos? Power built on fear can last decades, but not forever. Secrecy eventually cracks. Silence eventually speaks. And the system built on loyalty only tears itself apart. Joseph Bonanno lived to 97, quiet in his retirement. Yet the empire he created changed America's underworld forever. From a Sicilian seaside town to the docks of Brooklyn. From union halls to undercover FBI operations, the Bonanno family is an American story of ambition, crime, and consequences. They didn't dominate the skyline, they controlled the shadows and what they built. Still whispers in the alleys of New York. This was the Bonanno family. Blood, betrayal, and the rise of America's silent empire. If you crave the untold, the dark truths behind the mafia, serial killers, and the world's most chilling crimes, you're in the right place. Subscribe now, because every week we uncover what others fear to talk about. Like the video, share it with your friends. And remember, in the world of darkness, knowledge is your only protection. If you crave the untold, the dark truths behind the mafia, serial killers, and the world's most chilling crimes, you're in the right place. Subscribe now, because every week we uncover what others fear to talk about. Like the video, share it with your friends. And remember, in the world of darkness, knowledge is your only protection.